guys, what's going on? It's Ultimus. Today I want to take a look at the Holy Paladin artifact weapon traits, talents, calculators. I feel like I could call this in a bunch of different stuff and still get the point across. As with our previous videos, I do want to remind you that this, just like the giant red button at the top of the page here says, is a very early version of this tool and Blizzard's data, so all this is subject to change, and I can almost guarantee you will change to some degree or another, so keep that in mind. If you feel like something is undertuned or overtuned, let's just let it play out, and let's just be excited for what's coming up for Legion. So, to lay this down real quick, I did get a little bit of correction on myself that I need to address. After doing a little more research, I found out that these solid gold borders are where we are going to begin putting points into all of our artifact weapons. So, just for the sake of example, we're going to pull over here to the Fury Warrior one since we already covered this video. And right here at the Rage of the Valajar is where we are going to start on our artifact weapon, and we're going to build our way through. Same thing with the Death Knight over here. We're going to start down here in the center, which is kind of cool that that's our starting trait, just throwing that out there. And then we're going to go ahead and work our way out. So, with the Holy Paladin here, we are going to, let's actually make sure we're on the right one here. Start down here with Light Burst. Now, I have briefly gone over the Holy Paladin ones myself, just kind of casually looked over them, but didn't really read too much in depth, so most of this should be fairly first impression, but if I don't seem as excited or surprised, simply because I might be vaguely familiar with what they're laying down. So, let's go ahead and jump right in. Starting off of our first point here, or a section in the artifact weapon, is Light Burst. When you use Holy Shock, the Silver Hand has a chance to create a column of pure light for 10 seconds, increasing your damage and healing by 0%, obviously that will be tuned, each second you stand in it. 0% of all damage or healing done while in this column of light will be added to your next Holy Shock. So, basically what this is going to do is whenever you use your Holy Shock, which is pretty much your main instant cast, heal, or damage spell, depending on if you're still trying to keep the shock and dream alive or if you're just trying to put out some instant quick heals. Excuse me. Basically, it's going to have a chance to proc this giant column of light. What the radius is on it, how close it procs, I don't know. Is it going to be a random spot within a certain area of you? Does it proc on top of you? I don't know. Either way, it's going to blade this pillar of light down that you're going to want to stand in, which I think is going to be an interesting gameplay mechanic considering how much knockback and push aside they're adding to classes now. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how some of this plays in. I just like that they're adding a little bit more depth and dimension, I suppose, to CC mechanics rather than just stun, sap, incapacitate. That's basically the same thing as sap, fear, all that stuff like that. But they're really playing on this actually hitting the target so hard it up and moves them, kind of an idea. So I'm liking that they're playing into that a little bit, and they're adding, of course, skills here in the game to counter that, as far as trying to work around and be, I suppose a better way to just try to describe this is just increase the skill cap on being able to avoid, set up, dodge, or even land those movable CCs, that crowd control that actually picks up and moves your target, which is kind of cool. But basically, when you stand in this column, your healing is going to increase as well as your damage for each second you stand in it. So the longer you stand in it, the bigger the buff is going to get. However, basically this lasts for 10 seconds. So I'm curious to see how big those percentages get. Are we going to see just like a gnarly 100% buff to your damage and healing through Holy Shock, which would be crazy. But the crazy part is that additional effect of that 0%, or however it's tuned, so X% of all damage and healing done while in this column will be added to your next Holy Shock. So basically what you can do is you're going to want to be able to heal as much as you can. So I could see this being the kind of thing where if you can time this right around when you're going to pop wings and your trinkets and things like that for the most effective heals possible, the amount you're going to be able to pool into a Holy Shock is going to be crazy. You might be able to essentially turn your Holy Shock into an instant one-shot heal that might be able to rival that Holy Priest spell that they're going to get that allows them to basically heal for a half a health bar or a full health bar if it crits. I don't know how this is going to tune, but that's where my brain is going with this one. So we'll see how this plays out. Personally, as fun as that sounds, it sounds a little overpowered. However, there is a skill cap attached to it, so you're not just going to get the buff. So it's kind of cool that you have to stand in there. So the buff itself might be fairly strong, but I'll be curious how many paladins are going to be good enough to actually get the full effect out of that pillar. Either way, pretty cool effect. I like it, and that's kind of cool that that's right where this is starting off on. So pretty nifty. Next up, we're going to pull on up to Shock Treatment. Holy Shock critical strikes reduce the cooldown of Holy Shock by 2 seconds. So every time you land a critical strike, the cooldown of Holy Shock is reduced, and that can stack up to 4 seconds when you have it fully decked out with the 3 out of 3 there. Let's go ahead and go left and hit Blessings of the Silver Hand. Reduces the cooldown of your Blessing of Freedom, Protection, and Sacrifice by 10%, and that will stack up to 20%. So I dig that, because I don't remember if we're going to have the talent that lets us do double Freedom, Sacrifice, and Protection. And just for the sake of quality and just time for this video, we're not going to hop over. So be curious. Either way, whether we have 2 charges on it or not, 20% reduced cooldown on those spells is quite nice, because those are some pretty key spells. Again, between Freedom and Sacrifice right there, those are probably 2 of the spells I use the most as a Holy Paladin. I feel like anytime Freedom is up, I'm just casting it, whether it's on myself or my arena partners. I'm just throwing it out there. Obviously, Sacrifice is extremely useful for breaking CCs or even just reducing damage. So, I mean, having a reduced cooldown on those is never going to be a bad thing. Deliver the Light increases the healing of Holy Light and Flash of Light by 6%, and that stacks up to 13%. So Holy Light and Flash of Light. Holy Light, that's our medium heal, I believe. Okay. So basically just buffs to those heals, which is fine. Allies within X yards. And I say X again because it sounds a little bit more intriguing than 0 does, at least. Because obviously, you know, that's not what it's going to be. And I feel like I need to always reiterate that. But allies within X yards of have their haste increased by 0%. So whatever that percent's going to be. So again, just further encouraging you and rewarding you for continuing to stay in the fray with your party members and not leaving them be. I'm curious if these effects are going to line of sight. Like if you say on, let's just say any of the arena maps with a pillar. If you're standing back here behind this pillar and your buddy is standing over here on this side, you're obviously close enough to them because you're back here, but they're over here, so I wonder if that's still going to count as being within the range or if you're going to have to be line of sight, because that could be kind of interesting. But I do like that they're adding a lot of those aspects in that synergizes well with the mastery of the class. So in this particular case, Holy Paladins, as they are encouraging you to get up and close into the fray with your friends. And while you're at it, they're going to get a nice haste buff to them. Now, not a lot of classes necessarily stack haste, but we're seeing a return of haste being a beneficial, fairly beneficial stat, with it reducing the global cooldown of the spells for a lot of classes now. So it never is a bad thing. I mean, it's one of those things where extra stats are extra stats, no matter whether you super benefit from them or not. Whether or not you benefit from them in a very efficient way or not, I just feel like extra stats are just a great thing. And even with a warrior, if I get in a group with someone that increases my haste by, X amount or whatever, it's like, I don't benefit from it as much as I do crit and mastery, but I'll still take it because it's faster swings than I normally do. So, as far as I'm concerned, so kind of a cool thing. But either way, this does play well into Holy Paladins very well. And when you think about some of the cleaves and the arena teams you see Holy Paladins playing with a lot of anyways, I feel like they benefit from the haste more so than other comps do, so this might work out well in their favor anyways, because I'm thinking of Turbo Cleave. Turbo Cleave works so well with Holy Paladins. Just the extra buff to haste I think is going to be great for that comp, and depending on, again, just kind of looking at where Holy Paladins, Enhancement Shamans, and Fury or Arms Warriors are right now, I could see Turbo being very, very strong next expansion too, much like it is right now in WoW. Moving on up to Expel the Darkness, increase the healing of Light of Dawn by 6%, 10%, and up to 13%. So Light of Dawn is one of our important healing spells, and so you're just going to have that nice little buff to that, and then we're going to drop down here to our elite bordered ability here down here, which is Boon of the Silver Hand. And I'm curious about these ranges on them, because all these say 100 yard range, 100 yard range. So obviously, those can't be accurate. There's got to be something else that's got to be up with those. But it says when you activate your Avenging Wrath, an image of the silver hand will drop from the sky, releasing orbs of light that will heal allies it hits. Oh, snap. That's kind of cool. So basically, whenever you activate wings, an image of the silver hand, which is your weapon, so it's just going to be an image of your artifact weapon, is going to drop from the sky, and it releases orbs of light that heal allies that are hit by it. So what the area of effect is going to look like on this, obviously that's yet to be determined. I'm obviously very, very curious, and I think it's just interesting. It's an interesting RNG element, that's for sure. But I'm curious what the visual is going to look like now. I hope that hammer's massive, because that'd be kind of cool. It'd be disappointing if it was just kind of a tiny little hammer. You're like, oh, well, I mean, if I wanted a hammer that small, I would have just like went to Home Depot or something. But if this is like, you know, the silver hand, then this thing needs to be massive. So I don't know, just a thought. But it sounds kind of cool. On paper, it sounds cool. So there's that. Focused healing reduces the cooldown of Tower of Light by 20 seconds. I can't remember what Tower of Light does off the top of my head. I know it's one of our new heals. So either way, the cooldown is going to be reduced by 40 seconds on that. So 40-second cooldown is kind of cool. I'll take that. I feel like it was one of our bigger heals, because if I remember correctly, it was, I think, a 2-minute cooldown, something like that. So we'll see. Either way, pretty nifty. I'll take quicker spells, that's for sure. Less cooldown is more fun. The light saves when your beacon of light target falls below 0% or X% maximum health. Your next heal will transfer X% additional healing to your beacon. Oh, snap. So whatever health percentage they choose here, whenever your target that has the beacon of light on them falls below that. So this is even more of like an oh crap button, or like kind of like a quick save on that target. So depending on how we're going to be able to move around beacon of light, if we're going to be able to glyph for it or make it to where it comes off the global cooldown, that could be interesting as well. Swap it over to someone real quick and get X amount % more healing on them, as long as their health percentage is lower than that. This particular artifact talent, or I guess trait, I could see really playing well and giving a reason to play that double beacon spec, because I know that's sticking around in Legion, but not a lot of paladins use it right now, simply because the other talents are better, and there's really not a reason to need 2 beacons out, especially with beacon off the global cooldown if you take the glyph. But with this particular talent out, that might give some validity and actually some playtime to that particular talent. I think that's what I'm most excited about. Not to ramble too much more, but while it's on my mind, I'll throw it out there, is that with all the new talents coming in, between talent trees, PvP talents, and now artifact trees, you know, you got these 3 new things. I mentioned this before, but I'm looking forward to how this is going to challenge the meta of this game. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what different comps come out of this, and what different talent builds people can build. Because I think it's going to be a few months before people finally start kind of figuring out what's good, what's not, stuff like that. And Blizzard has mentioned that in Legion, what they're working towards and what they will be able to do is tune specific skills and abilities for classes on the fly. They want to be able to do that to facilitate PvP better, because they do understand that being able to just tune up classes kind of once every couple months for patches really isn't where the game needs to sit anymore. So again, if they can pull that off, I think that's great. And so all that to say, I think the concept of what this is proposing and the possibilities with this artifact trait is kind of cool, giving an option or a reason to potentially play that double beacon spec. Because the second beacon, if you're unfamiliar with it, if you take the talent, what it does, it actually mimics what your beacon of faith is. So you basically get beacon of light. You get your beacon of faith mimics your beacon of light. So you basically get 2 beacons out of the target, and that is wonderful, because that literally single-handedly saves PvP games. It saves, you know, arenas, BGs. It saves raids. It's the greatest thing ever. It's like a bubble you don't have to worry about managing. You just have to keep an eye out for it, so you can make sure to heal your friend back up. It's kind of cool. I like it a lot. Maybe that's why I like Holy Paladins, or easy mode. Holy Paladin gold medal, something cool. So whatever this is, it's yet to be exposed and shown to us, so we'll look forward to that. We'll probably come back and check that one out when it's released. It'll probably be a quick little 1-2 minute video, whatever it is, just to talk about it, to follow up on it. But whatever that's going to be, they're promising it's something cool, so hopefully they're able to deliver on that one. Let's go ahead and check out Share the Burden. Blessing of Sacrifice also reduces damage the target takes by 10%. And stacks up to 20%, kind of spiffy. Justice through Sacrifice. Increase the healing light of the martyr by 6%, 10%, and 13%. If I remember correctly, Light of the Martyr is the one that sacrifices your health and gives it to the friendly target. So with this, you're going to get more bang for your buck. So it doesn't necessarily say that it's going to take more health from you, if you'll notice that, but it does mention that it's going to increase the healing by a total of at least 13%. So that's going to help offset how effective that is depending on how much health you're going to lose, because we're not really sure what our health pools are going to be like in Legion. I'm sure they're going to be massive because they have not proposed another stat squish, which is whatever. But yeah, so that just making the Light of the Martyr a little bit more effective, which is cool by me. And then we get Protector of the Light. Divine Protection will also be applied to your Beacon of Light target. Divine Protection, if I'm not mistaken, is the spell that reduces spell damage taken. So, kind of nifty, drop the Beacon of Light onto the target, and then they take some reduced spell damage. Always good. Reduced damage is never a bad thing. Let's pull down here to this particular trait. We're going to look at Templar of the Light. Increases the duration of Aura Mastery by 2 seconds. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Up to 4 seconds. Heck yes. That, now we're talking my language right there. Aura Mastery is my jam, man. Aura Mastery is probably one of my favorite skills that Holy Paladins have. It's great. Because it's effectively useless if you cast it afterwards, but if you can cast it before you're like God status. Pretty cool. Knight of the Silver Hand reduces damage taken by 6% up to 13%. Pretty spiffy. I take less damage. Always a fan of that. And then Protection of Tyr. Aura Mastery now causes Aura of Mercy, Devotion Aura, and Aura of Light to be active for its duration. Oh, snap. That's crazy. So Aura Mastery, when you pop Aura Mastery, which can and will last 4 seconds longer than it does now, will cause Aura of Mercy, Devotion Aura, and Aura of Light to be active for the duration. That's crazy. Okay, hold on. I said we weren't going to do this, but I'm going to pop over to our abilities page and take a look at what all those specifically do in Legion, because I know what they used to do, but I don't know if they still do the same thing. So let's copy and pasta and swap right over. Alright, so what we're looking at over here on the Holy Paladin spell page over here on WoW Database is Devotion Aura, which allies within 10 yards take 10% reduced magical damage. Aura of Light, allies within 10 yards receive 10% increased healing. And then Aura of Mercy is allies within 10 yards heal 1% of max health every 5 seconds. So kind of crazy. So, wow, that's crazy. So these are all back. These haven't been around in a long time for the game, which is kind of cool to see them come back. Tower of Light is back. That was in Cataclysm, wasn't it? Yeah, that was in Cataclysm. They took it out, then they brought it back. All heals cast by other members of your party or raid also heal your Beacon of Light for 10% of the amount healed. Additionally, all healing you cause on your Beacon of Light is increased by 100%. Dig it. Light of the Martyr, just to double check, sacrifice 400% of spell power of your own health to instantly heal an ally for 400% of spell power. Can't be cast on yourself. Makes sense. Divine Protection. Okay, so we just want to make sure we're getting our spells right over here. Beacon of Light, Light's Beacon. Don't understand the difference. So wait. They're not the same spell, are they? I don't know. Whatever. But it's interesting too. So we got our second beacon down here. Mark a second target mimicking the effects of Beacon of Light. So just like we said, which is fine. Then they got some other different beacon mechanics and talents over here for the Holy Paladin, which we won't really go over too much because this isn't a this isn't really an ability video. We're just looking at the artifact trees, but I thought it would be worth it just to look at some of these while we're here, since we brought it up, I suppose. So we weren't like, oh, I don't know what these spells do. I don't know. You should tell me. I'm actually curious what the difference between these two is, though. Your heals on other party or raid members will also heal the Beacon of Light target for up to 50% of the amount healed. Your Flashlight and Holy Light on the Beacon of Light target will also refund 40% of the mana cost. That's fine. They're exactly the same. It's got to be a bug for those to be in there, which is fine. Whatever. But then, yes, we're getting other beacon abilities here, which is pretty spiffy. We'll do that. So, kind of cool. Kind of cool there on that one. So, yeah, causes the Aura of Mastery Kara's Aura of Mercy, Devotion Aura, and Aura of Light to all be active when you have Aura Mastery up. So whichever talent you pick in there, you're going to get the effects of all the other ones up while you have Aura Mastery up, which is kind of cool. And Aura Mastery in and of itself, 6 seconds. So Aura Mastery is going to last crazy 10 seconds. Okay, so this is how it works basically. And then whatever talent you pick over here, it's going to proc along with when you well, it doesn't proc with, I should say. It increases the effectiveness of it, I should say. So Aura Mastery is going to work a little bit differently again now than it does in Warlords of Draenor, which is totally fine. But I like that they're incorporating the different mechanics in back with all the different devotions or the auras, depending on what you pick. So kind of you're seeing all this implemented into the artifact weapon quite nicely, I think, and it'll be cool to see how some of this plays out. So that is pretty much it. Definitely makes me excited to play or at least check out my Holy Paladin come Legion. If nothing less, just kind of get a feel for how they're going to work rotationally, mechanically, and kind of the pre-patch stuff that I'm sure will come out before the expansion drops. Although hopefully I'll get into beta, and so won't really have to worry about all that. And I'll be able to make my mind up before beta is even over and before any of this even launches. So pretty nifty. The only complaint I have about Holy Paladins is that we lose our shield. We're getting our Libram, which is fine, and it makes sense. It fits with Paladin lore, I suppose, but I just kind of like having a shield. Personal quirk, I know, whatever. I'll get over it. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Greatly appreciated. It means a lot to me. And if you know anybody who would be interested in the video and enjoy it, don't forget to share it with them. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.